history. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert having 2,164,347 Ugandans so far from the declared polling stations believing him, 30.91%. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni incumbent having 4,340,134 voters deciding in his favor, and currently he stands at 61.98%, which is a drop from the last ones that we have been receiving through. The declared polling stations we're looking at now, 23,997. Of course, the overall is 34, so we still have about 1,000 plus polling stations to go. Then we can have the winner declared. Looking at the statistics of Ivan Kahwa, the interpretation of the competition between the yellow camp and the red camp. Yellow camp is seemingly dropping, whereas the red camp is seemingly going up in percentages.
When you look at the numbers, they have been rising, the numbers from Museveni. So the fact that Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert's numbers are coming up, it automatically affects the percentage if you compute. But it doesn't affect the numbers anyway. But realistically, the president was from 2 million, then 3 to 4. That is an increment. But of course, for the remaining results that we are yet to receive, if Kyagulanyi continues to have high numbers, then it will automatically continue affecting the percentage.
Do you see another 2 million Ugandans from the remaining polling stations, the 1,000 polling stations, considering Kyagulanyi?
Apparently now that would be an assumption, but believe you me, if they did consider Kyagulanyi, which is a little bit impossible, I cannot rule on that. They will have to share. They will have to share them. The only issue that we would be looking around is if candidate Yoweri Museveni doesn't drop by the 50% required by the law to be declared as a president-elect, and that is basically how I look at it. And you could see that Kyagulanyi and Museveni this time around are the center of focus. You know, it should be a shock to anyone in this country. This gentleman, this is his first time, you know, contesting to be president, and he has managed, you know, he has beaten all these.
For democratic change.
Exactly. Look at all these comrades that have been in the politics of this country, the likes of Norbert, even Amriat himself, by the way, Mugisha Muntu to Mukunde, and it is even a shocker to me that Amriat has made it number 3. You know, I expected people like Norbert Mao, and perhaps the Mugisha Muntu, in my own opinion, the objective opinion, I thought Mugisha Muntu at least would have been 3rd or 4th. But literally, what does this mean? That the people who did not vote for Mugisha Muntu were like, other than voting somebody who went to the bush with the President Museveni and the Tumukundes, I would rather go with their boss.
Really? But I would see it different, Kahwa, and in the aspect of everyone below Kyagulanyi, I can tell you honestly, probably I'll start from Amuriat and Mao. People of these, the Amuriat has 254. That is simply a FDC vote. There are people all out Uganda who are simply there, even if you put, as long as it is blue, they are there. When you come to Mao, there are people who are casting DP. You go to all around the country. So Mao got a vote of DP as a party, because if you remove Amuriat from the blue shirt, would you think you would get those votes? It is simply about parties and how they voted in those dockets of partisan politics for me. Okay,
another statistic that I would like us to look at. Ideally, registered voters were 18,103,603 voters. However, from the 23,997 polling stations so far, the ballots that have been counted are 7,280,677. Now, we do have about like another 10 million that we're supposed to be tracing out of the balance, 1,000 polling stations that we're expecting counting to come through. The interpretation of that also is very interesting. Declined or rejected invalid votes are now at 2,708. Very interesting to note. One of the reasons is simply because the ink became an issue. You put the thumb and then folding in a different way, which made the ink go to another candidate. That was made a valid vote. Some
people would vote for probably Kyagulanyi and then come and also cross.
So they would take Kyagulanyi and cross Amuriat. That also became an invalid vote.
Some people would draw a picture there with 2 eyes and what. You know how Ugandans can be.
But also those that made long ticks from one box
yeah,
to
exactly.
through.
because of too much love.
Because of too much love. So one would tick one box, then it runs through other boxes, therefore making that an invalid vote.
But Priscilla, there's something I want us to just touch base a bit on. There's something, Kawa here is a journalist. Chirago is a journalist.
See, you want to touch base, that's a long discussion. We do have Afande Anatoli here, and we're supposed to be having a discussion with him at about this time.
Okay.
So why don't we push that later, because that's a very important discussion. As journalists, we need to look at those that have won, those have taken into the next parliament, and what the expectations are in reference or relation with what the political journey has been. So Ivan, we definitely would continue, but just your one statement about the journalists that have been in the race.
Apparently that is good news for the journalists. Now at the time when you have representatives in the August House, and this time around you believe many of the issues that are affecting journalists will be addressed in any way. It is just an assumption. You know, when people reach that place, I don't know what goes into their minds. And the fact that these are youths, you will have to first use the 5 years to build yourself.
Exactly.
So that is also
if they're not thrown out.
Yes.
Exactly.
No
one has come in when they already have something.
No.
So they really have to make their life way through in the 5 years. So for those who are looking out for the service delivery, you just have to pray to God anyway.
Also interestingly, Ivan, there before we leave the issue of journalists, we've had journalists in this parliament before. We had the likes of Sozi Kadu Basa. If you remember, he served us one time, and the people of Mityana there said enough is of you. We've had Semuju Nganda. He has bounced back as a journalist. We had also Mire, she was woman representative for Butaleja. We had Onesimus, the gentleman who one time talked about battering women in case of that. So we've had journalists there. This time around, you're expecting the likes of Semuju Nganda. He's bounced back. Kazibwe Bashil, Joel Senyonyi, Joyce Vagala, that is for Mityana, and Agnes Nandutu. But also there are those that have attempted and have not made it there. You have the likes of Patrick Mujuka, Andrew Mwegusha there, then you have Moses Kasivante. So there are those that also have attempted and have not gone through. But one of the interesting things is here that we have special interest groups where you have a person with disabilities. So if their person went through, you would believe. But these people are not coming as special representatives. They are constituency representatives. For me, I believe it will only be by grace that our issues as journalists are put forward on the table.
This is a very big discussion, and it's a very important discussion. I ask that we take a break, and then when we return, the election hub is here to continue all the way until the final results come through from the Electoral Commission. But most important has been the aspect of peace and security throughout this electoral process. And we do have Afande Anatoli with us in studio. We're going to be having that discussion in depth, looking at the pre, the current, and also the post-month of elections. What should we expect, and what will it look like in terms of peace and security? Welcome to the Election Hub. You're watching UBC TV, and again, this is Good Morning Uganda's special edition on a Saturday.
Good Morning Uganda, January 2021, live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Morning Uganda. January 2021. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Daddy, surprise! Here is a pizza for you. Happy birthday to you. Daddy, you look not impressed.
My daughter, this is not meaningful to me. Hallelujah Natural Drinks is my ideal gift today.
Hallelujah Day. Hallelujah Ginger Tea Drink and Hallelujah Tamarind Drinks are the most perfect, nutritious and healthy products that help everyone to boost their immune system to get complete relief of most sicknesses like joint pains, cough, diabetes, blood pressure, easy digestion and many more, and certified by UNBS. For orders, find us at Bifro House on Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, opposite MBI. Hallelujah Natural Drinks, perfect for your health. Hallelujah Day.
Good morning, Uganda. Today is a great day to make someone's day. A wonderful day to rewrite the future. Today is a beautiful day to light up their world. A marvelous day to make a brand new start. The perfect day to make the world smaller. Uganda, today isn't just another day. Today is your day. Airtel Money, with you always. Airtel Money, quick, secure, borderless.
What's wrong with the instruction?
To lose your temper within man. It's got to be something other than kidnapping people.
Maybe in America. Maybe in America.
Go ahead. Bully boss story. Cool?
No. No, it's not cool.
Cool.
No, it's not cool.
Tired?
Yeah.
And maybe it's time to try something new.
You really need to see that.
Launch operation. Let's go fishing.
Bottom. Hilarious.
Launch operation.
I hate marriages that fail. I don't want your marriage to fail. Why? I mean, I'm succeeding in marriage. Why should you fail? Why should you fail? I hate it. And that's why we come over here every other moment to unlock the marital bliss.
You know, you're my wife.
Yeah.
I loved you.
Yeah.
I will always love you.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for standing with me. I want to thank you for raising our children. I want to thank you for the life we have stayed together. Thank you for being a wonderful woman. I wish every husband had a woman like Justine.
Yes. I have loved you from day one, and I always love you.
Amen.
Thank you for loving me. Thank you for taking care of us.
Amen.
I love you.
I love you
till
too.
death. God does us apart.
Amen.
A hug. Yes, once you have the key, you don't have to fight. You just insert the key, turn around, and unlock bliss in your marriage. And that is why we are here. Remember to always follow us on Facebook, Twitter, social media, YouTube, and hey, let us know how this has been a blessing to you.
Morning Uganda. January 2021. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It is Good Morning Uganda, and it is the election hub. Specifically, we are focusing on elections. Ugandans decided for presidency, and that is for members of parliament. We still wait for final results from the Electoral Commission. At 9, we expect more provisional results coming in from the National Tally Center at Chambogo. But for members of parliament, we've been giving you, wherever they declare the winner, the authorities there by the Electoral Commission, we give you those results. But very importantly, at this time is peace and security. We've had religious leaders make that call. We've had traditional leaders or cultural leaders. We've had everybody make a call of peace. But when we talk about peace, we have law enforcers, people that are mandated to ensure that they detect and prevent crime. They protect Ugandans and their property. And these are people at the front line, which is Uganda Police Force, assisted with sister security agencies. And with us in studios today, we have Afande Anatoli Muleterwa, who is the Commissioner of Police in charge of community policing. Good morning, Afande.
Good morning, my brother.
I see you. Did you vote?
Yeah, I voted. Hey. I voted a candidate of my choice. And I believe my candidate will have make it through.
You believe your candidate will win?
Yes, we will win.
Okay.
So, good morning, Uganda. Happy being on the show. And I'd like to thank you all for having participated and exercise your fundamental right, especially the right to choose the leader of your choice. Equally so, I would like to thank you so far for the peace you have maintained, the safety and security you have cooperated with us, our men and women in uniform, and the respect you have accorded us so far, where minimum or no kind of fracas has taken place. Really, this is it. But my brother, in elections there are 3 stages. The first stage is the stage of campaigns. The second stage is the stage of voting and tallying and then declaration of the voters. The third and most important, for which we all need each other, is the aftermath of the 2. How do we heal? Therefore, being here, we are talking about the emphasis of the need to heal from the wounds, from the fracas, from any kind of anxiety you could have expressed during that time, and get on and say, life must continue. And in doing so, we need you to continue being law-abiding and conscious of the fact that Uganda does not stop with elections. Uganda continues far and beyond. And even your life, your children, your relatives, and yourself. And by the way, God who gave you that gift has a plan for you.
Very interesting and important information there. God who gave you that life has a plan for you. Afande Anatoli, today is what we call the final day regarding the voting and counting, which is today. And we know many Ugandans, this election there has been a bit of tension among these Ugandans. Some have even gone to the villages just because they are anticipating a likelihood maybe that after the announcement something can break up. But this is what we are going to handle. But before we go to that, which is most on the hearts of people, what happens after 4 p.m., after the winner has been declared? Let's, you cannot know the future without looking at the past. Let's briefly look at the pre to this, Afande. As the police, we saw a couple of incidents. Good on voting day, it was generally peaceful. But a couple of incidents that led to this fear amongst Ugandans, this tension among many Ugandans that think maybe the aftermath of having declared the final winner could be a bit tricky. How would you handle a situation that many Ugandans now think after it something may not work out very well?
One, there is nothing that cannot work out very well, unless otherwise you have not prepared yourself and not prepared your mindset. For our case, as your police, we have been all along preparing to secure Ugandans. But while doing that, we are doing it at 2 or 3 fronts. One, support from our sister security agencies. But most important, cooperation from you. We equally call upon you, just like we have been prepared to secure you. Be prepared to work with us. The Inspector General of Police a week ago was able to tell you the master plan of the force. And that master plan embeds cooperating with you. I want therefore to call upon you that come elections, come voting, come declaration, it is not a do or die. Get to know that it is a game, and a game where people, people have been seeking for social contact between themselves as individuals willing to serve and the Ugandans. Now, once that social contract has not been approved by either your constituency at the level you have contested, please don't force things. Otherwise, when you force things, as police and our sister security agencies, we are prepared. Now, what you have mentioned about people who are going to the villages because of fear, let me tell you, fear is natural. Everybody and every one of us has that feeling of fear.
Do you think this could have been as a result of how campaigns were handled, the tension, the tear gassing, the arrest, that they have the situation that justify the fear this time around?
It may not be so, because at the end of the day, after 18th and 19th of November, normal life moved on, and everybody was exercising his or her right in a peaceful manner. But you must also know that people have a choice. Maybe their choice was to go to the village during that time, and nobody could stop them. Two, many of them could have not been registered voters in Kampala, and therefore they had got to the village. And three, maybe some of them, by virtue of, say, hikes in transport during the Xmas period, they did not have the money, and maybe they thought this was the chance. So there are many reasons which may not be.
So you don't allude this to security reasons?
No. By the way, security. Have you ever seen any policeman or any of our sister agencies attacking people? It is not our desire, not even in our plan, not even in our mind, to attack any Ugandan. Our mandate is secure Ugandans, and therefore we are up to the task. And that's why I want to call upon you, while the police and the other security agencies are determined to secure you, please cooperate with them, respect them. They are your forces. They are not mercenaries. They are mandated at all times to ensure that you are safe, your property is safe, all those around you are safe. Now, take an example of during this election. Security has been everywhere, and up to now they are still there. Anybody who has not had any confrontation with the security, have you had any confrontation? That is the kind of spirit we are calling upon. Whoever wants to test the stability of this country, provoke and use the avenue of violence, provoke and use the avenue of violent extremism, provoke and try to set a parallel security mercenary against the legal mercenary. That is when you'll know the mightiness of the security agencies in this country.
We are waiting for the declaration. Just after 4, we know the 24 hours will have expired, and automatically the 48 hours will have expired, and automatically the chairman of the Electoral Commission has to come out, his Lord Justice has to come out and declare a winner. Anatoly, how prepared are you as the Uganda Police Force for this particular event, in case there is any likelihood that people may decide not to respect the outcomes or individual actions to instigate violence?
One, I would not want to predict that there will be any likelihood of violence. But you see, for us, we are not like some politicians. You know, politicians have a third way. If you don't win, you are either cheated or no. For us, we have two sides. One, we need peace. We need stability. But in the case there are acts of violence, we are prepared to encounter them. And one of the ways in which we must be able to encounter is by coming on the media like this one, telling you that the cost of violence is more repugnant. Violence is very, very costly. Fellow Ugandans, let's not choose that path. Fellow Ugandans, let's choose the path of peace. Let's choose the path of the legal means. But should you go violent, one, there is the cost for life. Two, there is the cost for property. And three, the effect of recovery from that in case you survived may not be very easy. And therefore, why can't we use our senses of reasoning other than being overtaken by emotions? Please, if animals that we control cannot go to the level of destroying whatever they are put in place, what about us who control everything? Therefore, I would like to call upon you. The Uganda Police Force with other security agencies are prepared to secure you, not to attack. By the way, it is not in our plan to attack anybody, but to secure you. But whoever destabilizes his or her own area and tries to incite an act of violence, then you'll have to have your own test. And dance. Be prepared to have your own test and dance the music that you have attuned to. But, like I've said, you have asked me how we are prepared. The first one is this one, collaborative engagement, where we come, dialogue with you, talk to you, and call upon your reasoning to prevail over any acts of whatever. That anxiety which you could have had, please, this is all about a game of chances. It could have not been in your favor. Plan for the next 5 years. That is one. Two, we have deployed massively. Like you have seen, our police officers have been deployed. They are patrolling, those on foot and those on motorized patrols. And they are in tuning with our sister agencies like the UPDF, who are doing the same, who are prepared to ensure that we work and secure this country. Three, any information that we get, our intelligence are sieving to ensure that we can be able to get what some of these detractors are trying to plan, and these inform our operations. Four, our public order management sector, FFU, is also prepared for any group that may try to gather around, and we disperse them lawfully. So those are some of the avenues. And like you have seen, we have both the infantry, those are the police on the ground, and we have even our chopper, like you have seen of recent, the police chopper, and those are all your capabilities to emphasize on the fact that we are prepared.
I've also seen in Kampala you've taken over rooftops of arcades and raised buildings. Seen heavy deployment of police on most of these buildings within the city.
Yes, because we are not prepared to take anything for chance. Yes.
Afande, talking about, you know, after the 48 hours expire, there is both maybe those that may want to take the law in their hands, but even those that are going to be jubilating. We've of late seen a couple of confrontations between police and supporters of someone who has been declared a winner. How best can we handle this? Because one would wonder, these are celebrating. It's not out of violence. Then tear gas, mayhem is created. How best? These do not look very attractive scenes.
Now, you remember the elections of 2020, 2021 have not been the usual elections. Given the fact that we have had a pandemic that is COVID-19, and throughout these elections, there were measures that were adopted by the Minister of Health and the government giving the Uganda Police Force directives on how to manage COVID. Part of those are the need, for example, you can now see me. You mean I would not desire for you to look at my ugly face? But because this is one of the health precautions, I put on a face mask in order not to contaminate you or even those around me. Two, the issue of social distancing, where the social safety precautions of 2 meters apart or more so, because you don't know whom you are interacting with. Don't be surprised that at the end of this talk show, you are announcing new COVID patients. Where could they have come from? Our social interaction and our laxity on maintaining the precautionary measures that we put in place. Therefore, my dear Ugandans, good, we all need to celebrate, but we are not celebrating the usual way because of the pandemic, and government has not laxed on those precautionary measures. So it is our work as your agency to inform you, to remind you, and tell you, please, while you are doing this, remember, it is only when you are alive that you can be able to celebrate the way you want. It is only when you are alive that you can be able to attain whatever you want. But when you want to go overboard, at the end of the day, don't blame us, but we would have done our best to remind you. So please, do not mistake us. We may have individual police officers who may go overboard, but that is not an institutional issue, and that is not what the Minister of Health and government directive. The directives of government are very clear, very open, and even known to everybody. If you maintain them, please, and a policeman comes to kind of muzzle your desire for your enjoyment of rights, then you have a right to complain. But if you are not doing the same, please accept. Please accept. I know many of you are angels. You don't want to take any blame. Every blame has come to us. Yes, we shall treat you the way you come. We shall call upon you. Please continue to work with us.
Afande, going back to 2011, after the elections, after the announcement, we saw some things like preventative arrest of some of the people who are in this election. Just to clear the air, do we have imminent threats? Because the reports indicating here and there that one of the 11 candidates is right now is under your protection and is not allowed to leave his vicinity. How true could this be?
I may not be able to give that as part of my talk now because I've not got that information. But in terms of our mandate, Article 212, paragraph C, says, the Uganda Police Force shall detect and prevent. And therefore, in our intelligence, if we presume, and indeed information has it, that Bwana Chirabo has intentions to disrupt peace and use unlawful means, please, that is our work, because it is our mandate. It is not outside that mandate. If it was not there, then maybe you'd have sought for the amendment of that. But one of our mandate is to detect and prevent crime. Maybe the one you are talking about could be under that, and therefore it is lawful that we are there. Yes.
Well, time is running so fast, and there is so much that we need to know from Afande Anatoli, looking at the security perspective on these general elections. And of course, elections have the then we have the deed of voting, then we have the post-election time, which many countries of late have found challenges on the African continent to handle. Afande Anatoli, as we wind up, I want you to assure Ugandans of their safety after the declaration of the winner of the 2021 general elections in terms of presidency at the National Tally Center.
One, I want to thank all of you. Please, your cooperation must not be taken for granted. Thank you very much. I would like to call upon you, please continue working with us. It is our essence, because, by the way, we are constitutionally mandated to cooperate with everybody. So please, let's continue cooperating. In the event that the Electoral Commission, the Independent Electoral Commission, has announced the outcome, especially of the presidential elections, please be mindful of the fact that When you go overboard and take the unlawful means, the Uganda police force will desire to put you to line in order not to destabilize this whatever. Remember, elections have been lawful, and that's why people have decided so. So when you desire to go unlawful, we shall be able to tell you, please, because it is also our mandate, maintenance of law and order. So when you go disorderly, we shall put you to order. Therefore, we are now in the period of the post-elections, and this is a very important stage in which we need to heal each other. If your anxiety does not meet the expectation now, accept the people's voices, because the majority would have decided for you. It is now for you to give in. 2, it is very important that you reflect on maybe what you thought could have been your strength, but at the end of it all, your opponent explored on that to take you on, so that you can be able to plan for the next 5 years. 4 and 3, and most important, that whereas you as an individual, people could have had hope in you to lead them, save the lives of the majority, so that at the end of the year or at the end of the 5 years, they can still look at you as a good leader. Should you desire to incite and cause violence, the Uganda police force, the sister security agencies, and the country is prepared to put you to order. May the Almighty God bless you and bless Uganda.
Thank you.
For God and my country.
Thank you, Afande Anatoli Muletera. You've heard it all. That is the Community Liaisons Officer, Uganda Police, Commissioner of Police, in charge of community policing. The word to our wise is enough. Please, let's be tolerant. Let's not engage ourselves in activities that may render us or end up in the hands of the law enforcers. Just accept what has come out of the elections, whatever the declaration has made. And those celebrating, please remember, processions are banned. Desist from gathering in huge groups, even if it's celebration that could also land you in the hands of law enforcers. It is the Election Hub here at UBC TV, and we are here to keep informing you of the outcomes of the elections. That is from the National Terrorist Center. But we expect another set of provisional results. I think this is going to be the 8th address at around 9 a.m. For now, I'll leave you with Priscilla to take you through press review.
Good morning, Uganda. January 2021, live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning, Uganda.
Daddy, surprise! Here is a pizza for you. Happy birthday to you. Daddy, you look not impressed.
My daughter, this is not meaningful to me. Hallelujah Natural Drinks is my ideal gift today.
Hallelujah Day. Hallelujah Ginger Tea Drink and Hallelujah Tamarind Drinks are the most perfect, nutritious and healthy products that help everyone to boost their immune system to get complete relief of most sicknesses like joint pains, cough, diabetes, blood pressure, easy digestion and many more, and certified by UNBS. For orders, find us at Bifro House on Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, opposite MBI. Hallelujah Natural Drinks, perfect for your health. Hallelujah Day.
Good morning, Uganda. Today is a great day to make someone's day. A wonderful day to rewrite the future. Today is a beautiful day to light up their world. A marvelous day to make a brand new start. The perfect day to make the world smaller. Uganda, today isn't just another day. Today is your day. Airtel Money, with you always. Airtel Money, quick, secure, borderless.
Good morning, Uganda. January 2021, live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning, Uganda.
When a young man is wanting to express his interest in a young woman, he thinks about the decision and he sweats plasma only to get onto his knees and say, Priscilla, will you? Well, in Uganda, some people got onto their knees and they were saying, Uganda, will you allow me lead you for the next 5 years? It is the election hub. You are watching UBC TV. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga. Good Morning Uganda special edition. We are definitely going to be continuing giving you live updates as we continue with the Electoral Commission. National Tally Center is going to be giving us an update in a few minutes at 9 o'clock. We'll be getting a live update from the National Tally Center. But we also have to discuss the MPs that are in, but also the MPs that are out. It is disastrous to look at the list. We'll be having some of these discussions as we continue here on Good Morning Uganda. Joining me is Ivan Kahwa, one of our seasoned journalists who has been in the field covering the elections from the beginning until date, and also Felix Nkunda as we get to digest, discuss, analyze, disseminate everything. Anyway, before we get into that, we need to look at the dailies. Saturday has also had its voice in the dailies, and they put it out there for you to actually check it out in depth. Looking at Saturday Vision this morning, 16th January 2021, captivating headline there, Museveni leading 61.98%, and we also have Chagulanya 30.91%, and FDC party coming through at 3.64%. But the highlights there, how districts voted on page 4 and 5. Vice President hospitalized. One wonders, is it because he lost? Oh, it's health issues, or COVID-19. Oh, Chagulanyi disputes polling results and new faces in the next parliament. Ready for parliament, we look at a list there of parliamentaries that are in the next parliament. And also at the top of this page, we get to see MPs that were, yes, they were chappered. They are out, and the Lord knows what they're going to be doing in their free time come the next 5 years. Now we get to look at page 2 of the Saturday Vision. Page 2 of the Saturday Vision is basically giving us EC official grilled over the NGO Tally Center. In the corner you have there Kasinje hails the polls, and also Minister Onek is explaining Lamour incident as we look at a compilation of the Electoral Commission. So those are some conversations that are coming through from Saturday Vision. Let's look at Daily Monitor. It also has its 2 cents in what the dailies are presenting us this morning. Museveni takes lead, Bobby disputes results. Contention, EC says Museveni is set for another 5-year term as his main challenger, Robert Chagulanyi, cries foul. You can find that story on page 3 when you buy yourself a Saturday Monitor. Nope sweeps Buganda as NRM retains the House. Mixed fortunes, of course, you are looking at members that are in there. There's a lineup there, there's a journalist there, Joel Senyonyi, a conversation that we're going to be having here on the election hub. Members that are out, surprise, surprise, you do have Nabakoba
there.
out. You do have Latif out. It's a sad story to see these people leaving. They've done a good job while they were in Parliament. On the other side, you get to see some observers that have had their 2 cents on the elections of Uganda. European Union impressed with the polls, an envoy is stating. But also Mr. Lizard has something to say about Noop sweeping Buganda as NRM retains House. He's saying, has Buganda rejected Sabarwanyi? Has Uganda rejected Sabarwanyi? Well, Uganda has not rejected Sabarwanyi. Clearly, when you look at the polls, it is stating that he is still a Sabarwanyi. Looking at page 2, the Daily Guard editor's pick, you look at Full Woman, they give you their story about Sophie Nakabuye. You also look at Seeds of Gold. If you need to make some money, there is some stories that are coming through from Seeds of Gold in Saturday Monitor. Also, biometric machines becoming a conversation. Thursday picture of the day. You look at Sewanyana and some of those interesting MPs, Mohamed Segirinya from Kawempe, Machinje West, Joel Senyonyi. Yeah, picture of the day, just some members that have been having a good time in the rest. Today in history for Saturday Monitor, they're giving you Mutinia's escape from jail. That happened on this day in 1898. And then people in the news, Donald Trump, my goodness, this man and news, it's like they are related. Oh, he got married to news. Also, pharmaceuticals in Tanzania, there is a conversation there, Watchdog talking about questioning 23 pharmaceuticals working in one of the country's leading medical institutions over the theft of medicines and medical facilities. So basically, in the Saturday Monitor, that is what you're looking at today. Buy yourself a copy and get updated, especially in what's happening with the political atmosphere as we're closing up the general elections for Uganda, the year 2021. Now, where do I start from? Tempting. MPs that are out and MPs that are in. Can we start from there? Let's look at the MPs that are out. Very interesting lineup there. Ruth Nankabira, Chiwoga woman MP, has been ousted. She's packing up her bags and leaving office. Very interesting to note. We also do have Nachuala that has been very sound and vocal, Minister especially for sports. Minister for Gender, but in sports she's also been very vocal.
Now she was once at Express.
Express chairman, and also in FUFA, she's in the leadership there. Now she is also packing her bags and leaving.
No, she wasn't actually. She just contested. She wasn't incumbent. She tried to contest, but she didn't win.
She's leaving the rest, nevertheless. So we get to look at some of these big names that have left. We also do have
Chase Muyingo, you have Amelia Chambade, you have the Minister for Agriculture, SMP Jabamulangachi, we have Kasolo outside now, you have you talked about when you go into, is it Kazang or something like that? Chazang or something. They are over 10.
The list is long. But most predominantly is their senior members that are leaving Parliament.
The Ephraim Kamuntu is also leaving. The Rukutana Mwesige.
Minister for Constitution.
Okay.
Yes.
So the old are leaving, making room for the young that are coming in. What does this reflect on the next Parliament in terms of policy making, decision making, and everything that a role of an MP should be constituting of?
To me, when I look at the ministers who have been dropped, I would say many of them now, when you look at Nachuala, she has been so vibrant as a minister. She has really done something as a minister. But then you remember one time I was in the same room discussing about the issue of having a member of parliament who doubles as a minister. It kind of affects the issue of service delivery. Instead of lobbying for the poor road in your constituency, you are actually defending government's position. So in other words, this time around, if we look at this kind of red line drawn between the two, that Ugandans are trying to communicate, that it is high time, however much, you know, they say when you have a minister who is also an MP, you reduce on the costs, you know, the money spent on these specific people. But literally, this kind of exit has something.
You still spend the same, because you're still paying him as an MP, you're still paying them as a minister. So there's no cost cutting there.
There are benefits that are different from the two positions. Okay. I remember when I was talking with the State Minister for ICT, that is Honorable Peter Ogwang, he tried to explain to me that I also thought they get double salary, you paid as an MP, you paid as a minister, but that is not exactly. That is not the case. Now when you look at the lady from Chiboga, you remember these stories that came around as she was talking via WhatsApp, the issues, the audios that were moving around. You know, all these kinds of issues have totally affected these people in terms of getting votes from their electorates. Now, the new entrants who are coming on board, a lot of eyes are on Segirinya. You know, Segirinya has been a community leader, and he identifies very well with the locals in his area. We have MPs, we have ministers who have read, we have professors and so forth. But sometimes being a professor who is there to demystify issues, maybe when you are at the floor of parliament, other than going on ground in one way or the other, that is the case that has happened with the Muhingos of this time around. Then even Ephraim Kamuntu, you know, when you look at them, it is a little bit confusing. Moses Ali in Ajuman, you would say, why did they drop the others and they have left Moses Ali? That is his stronghold. You remember the issues of Apa when they were fighting in Ajuman, exactly, land issues. He was on the forefront, and maybe the people were identifying with him. So that's why you're seeing Comrade Moses Ali back in parliament, and others are dropped.
You do have Jimmy Mwezi also?
Jimmy Mwezi, by the way, you know Rukunjiri. Exactly. Yeah. Rukunjiri is a stronghold for the opposition. No. It is opposition, by the way. And by yesterday, I think John Katumba beat all of them. In the presidential candidates, John Katumba enjoyed Rukunjiri as a constituency. So Jim Mwezi coming back, I think he tried his luck again. You know, he fell out the other time around.
Actually, a couple of guys who lost come back. You look at the likes of Ekanya.
Yes.
From the, you also look at Jessica Lupo, bounced back. And but there's something also you must make comment on. When you want to discuss most of the guys who have been thrown out, and probably at ministerial level for that matter, and the kind of guys we are getting into parliament. We have had assertions, and when you look at some of the new kids on the block, you did talk about the likes of Segirinya, you're having the Bashils of this world, you're having Joel Senyonyi. There's been this whole conversation about experience, what, and all this thing. But I'll tell you something, that today's parliament needeth not experience. As I said earlier, that as long as you can relate, and this is what Kawa is saying, with the Wananchi, where you come from, for them that's all they need. That as long as you're grounded, you know what they want. And this is why most of people have been kicked out. And when you talk about some ministers not having, or having, being at crossroad between performing ministerial work and parliamentary work, that's a big challenge. For example, our line minister has, you have a ministry like ICT that is so demanding, so demanding, and you have a constituency that is also a hot one. Yeah. How do you balance it?
How do you balance it?
You know, so it's a bit tricky. But of course, some of the ministers also came on the block. You saw General Thacheng; she did tremendously well. I'm surprised she's not on the front pages, but she did equally well. We see Rachel Magola of Bangaena,
an artist.
Yes, as I said, she remember she lost previous election. I understand she lost, but this time round, she has come out and she has made a statement. I just like the fact that she was received well.
I know, and also it interprets the fact that maybe she did some preparation for the last five years
she learned
to be able to be on this lineup this time round, which is something I'm encouraging all the political leaders that are losing in this race particularly. For the next 5 years, you can actually go back, re-strategize, get touch best with the ground and the people that you want to represent, so that next time they know you, they know what you stand for, and they know that you have their back, so much so that they can put you in parliament to decide for them for another 5 years. Now, looking at Joel Senyonyi, he represents journalism. Let's talk about journalists that have actually gotten into parliament in this election.
We have had journalists in parliament, but if you ask yourself how many of them have fought for the rights of journalists in this sense, how many have advocated for the minimum wage issue, you know, sometimes I find that even if they have gone to parliament as journalists in this case, you know, it's hard to balance legislation and journalism. Even when you're writing for a newspaper, you note this objective, you know, that profession ceases to be part of you. Exactly.
You're a journalist.
Yes.
If you were to get into parliament, really, as a journalist, what would you want to advocate for?
Apparently, the underlying factor is that if I go to parliament as a journalist, many would be expectant to have a lot from me. But like I told you before, I am a youth. I'm still building myself. When you go to parliament, what are the 5 years going to really help so much? Are you going to fight for the people, or you first strategize yourself? And believe you me, these people won't go in for one term and they're like, I'm giving it a rest. They will want to come back, because for the 5 years they will accomplish their objectives and aims, and then they will need another term. But in terms of journalism, in this sense, we have had the Semuju Ngandas. Semuju is a very good speaker, articulate, and you find that every time he's speaking, because of that journalistic background, he's always a man who speaks reality. He doesn't, you know, but if Semuju Nganda was in the ruling party, he wouldn't be as he is, you know. But the line of defense for the journalists right now, they need to operate within the opposition line of it. Then that's when they will be able to blend and speak about issues that are affecting Uganda.
Felix seems to disagree.
Definitely I do, and I want you to just put it this way, that when you have these old journalists, the likes of my brother Joel, Haji Kaziwe Bashir, you have the Semuju Ngandas, you have
Agnes Nandutu,
the Nandutus of this world, the Joyce Bagaras. I will tell you, you see, they are not going there on affirmative action ticket. Is it Mitiana, if I'm not mistaken? Yes. Joel Senyonyi is there for Nakawa. So, the aspect, the judgment of journalism comes in the 7th place, and you can't judge them based on whether or not. And the question is, for example, because you have lawyers, they have, I think, the biggest number. They have some lawyers, they have businessmen. If everyone is going to bring presentation cartel to professionalism, you're going to have a mismatch. At the end of the day, the only challenge is that when they get there, professionalism, there is a hope of representation. We would want to relate with them because of the background. And when Kazibe was announced yesterday in Kololo, he simply told he actually mentioned to me that I am glad that the journalists today are going to be represented. That was his statement. Now, when you have Joel Senyonyi, he comes in and says the same thing. But that, again, is not their mandate. They're not there for the journalists. They are there for their constituencies.
The role of an MP.
So their one is additional.
It's not their mandate, but when you look at the period they have been campaigning, at most, this is one of the issues they have been
as a stronghold
bringing out. Exactly. You know, I want to fight for your rights as a journalist.
Actually, one would say they have used their professions. For example, Kazibe was at Uja.
They've used their professionalism as the platform to be able to get to the next level.
So as a media professional, in that regard, if I've been covering you and that's what you promise,
you have a right to
exactly. I have a right to say, you know, Joel Senyonyi, when you reach at Parliament, please, we need journalists to have better pay.
So you would say that maybe other MPs should, or people who want to stand in the next 5 years, because this one is done and dusted. Exactly. But in the next 5 years, I believe if we are to look at a picture of, let's take 2 examples, Joel Senyonyi, Agnes Nandutu, the way they have set themselves up to actually arrive at this level, it's just not been waking up,
but you know,
dreaming, like waking up and whatevering, but they have actually strategized to build their profiles good enough that people can resonate with them and be able to trust them to be their voices in parliament, in the next parliament.
That's what it takes. And for many of our other politicians, I can give you a number of them. When you look at the Rachel Magulas again, they lost, they went back, they tried to be on the ground and all this. Muhwezi, he lost miserably last time, but he went back, strategized a good comeback. Look at the Olalanya. Last time he had issues. This time round, clean sheet. So when you look at, I think this is what most of them have done. But nevertheless, you see, you cannot deny, for example, when you see, and most of the journalists you're talking about in Kampala, the Bagala, Senyonyi, and Bashir came on Noop ticket, if I'm not mistaken. Now, that doesn't say much about preparation. It says so much about association, that maybe they knew the right associates.
Exactly.
Apart from Nandutu, who tried, I think, to get the NRM ticket, and she was put down, then she came as, I guess, independent, if I'm not mistaken. But the rest, it's about association. Now, and again, it brings me back to what my brother Akawa is saying. Where do you lay your allergies? Where?
Yeah,
is it primarily to your profession, primarily to your associate, probably who made you, or want to call the kingmaker, or probably to your constituency? And this is going to be the biggest challenge we must bring into connotation. That's why when you see the new people coming into parliament, members, honorables coming into parliament, the big question is, do you owe your allergies to your maker? And this is a question to both NRM and NUP. Do you owe your allergies to the maker or to the people who have actually voted you? Now, we have seen challenges of where people vote at the disposal of their makers. You've seen caucuses once in a while if you want to pass and this. Then, but again, where is the person? And this is what we dispute about the third world country elections. That most times they're not about the electorate. And this that we see today, even if you want to talk about journalists, talk about lawyers, talk about accountants and what, you see the Nandara Mafabi, he has been there as a senior accountant, economist. What has he done for that realm of people? So the August House cannot be broken into chains of professionalism. I find myself to say that it's a bit risky and you can't do much. And I don't know, but I just think that it's a bit tricky. You can't pull out a professional card when you're in parliament.
It is very hard. It questions even the professional line of journalism, the objectiveness and so forth.
Actually, the best avenue for us to have that discourse would be through the workers' MPs.
Exactly.
If we had people like, we can push a journalist to go and stand for the workers' MP. I know Margaret Ramshiz, I don't know if she will go through or went through. She was a teacher. You've seen most times the teachers have dominated these seats. And for them, they have gotten the best of the same. No wonder when you remember in lockdown, the president gave 20 billion. You can imagine. Did anyone give money to journalists? No. Because they have strategized.
You get a myoga that is catering.
Myoga is for fishermen. So it is for everyone. But this one was specific. You can imagine. So what I'm saying is that I think journalists this time around, we cannot count on the likes of Joel, the Bashirs, the Nandutus, the Abagala. But let us focus on these workers MPs. This is the right place to hit. If we get a journalist standing as worker MP, and it's closer. For me, I think it's closer.
And when you look at the journalists, specifically this lady, Agnes Nandutu,
yes.
You know, to me, her victory is not a shocker to me. You know, Agnes Nandutu had the People's Parliament.
The People's Parliament.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and when you look at how the People's Parliament was operating, there is a time we forgot about our own August House. And we resorted to
the People's
Parliament. Exactly.
And it was dealing with regional issues.
And I believe Kadaga should be shaking wherever she is. You remember, exactly. You remember that period when they had to call for journalists who are bachelors to be accredited to cover Parliament.
Yes.
Agnes was kicked out because of papers. That was a technical and strategic move. It was now she comes back as a member of Parliament.
Yeah, it also shows you the heart of these journalists, that they were actually out to change people's lives. This is what we want to see in MPs in Parliament.
So that's
what
why
is the change you're bringing? Yes.
This is what I was asking earlier, that in as much as, and this is the pain that comes with multi-party politics. The question is, where do I owe my allegiance? Is it with the voters or with the party? When the people have said X, why do I have to go with the party that is saying Y? And this is where we see a mismatch. That's why I am worried. I'm not excited much about the
should it be to the people or should it be to the party?
It should be to the people, not the party. The party is just a party with which you identify.
It's a car.
Believe me, how many were like, I think Chagulanyi has numbers. Chagulanyi has figures.
Also, we have realized that 31,000 independents in this particular race, and a record that is far the largest of independents that we have seen in this race. It simply shows you that maybe the multi-partyism system needs to go back to the drawing board and update its system.
That's what I was telling you, we should come up with a party called
Independence Party. All right.
Independents are always leaning to a certain party, so you know they're just there to confuse
they need to find the
electorate.
You
know,
when independent, but they're having coffee with DP.
No, you hear that's the
thing. But they're
independent leaning. Member of parliament. So when NRM brings this, they will rush.
The when
FDC identify with it, they rush.
After 5 years, they defunct. Then after 5 years, they come back and say, "No, I did not step out. I had just, resigned to
But they have their right.
There's
room for independence. That means they share that right as Ugandans. But also, if you, and as much as you want to condemn the independence, I think it's fair enough for us to talk about what brings about independence in elections. The unfairness. Look at what happened to Rukutana.
But in this particular one, has it been unfairness or people just not accepting
Tell me about the primaries. Did you see the NRM primaries?
I saw the primaries, but the results are the results.
What prompts people in any way to go independent? Most of them who lost in the primaries decide to go for a landing ground. So you find that being an independent candidate is an escape route to access the August House.
So it actually brings out greediness, if you ask me. Because if you cannot accept defeat as a party member, which you have subscribed to and paid allegiance to, and then you're saying, no, I still want to be in parliament. What is the other alternative? Independent.
I don't really expect unfairness in primaries of that specific party, in other words. But I can't go without talking about Latif Sebagala.
Okay.
You remember that gentleman who had come for Lord Mayor, even made posters, then after the I'm coming this. So that I even remember asking, don't you think you're confusing the electorates? And the confusion
in fact, the funny thing is, even today, if you drive around Kampala, you see his posters.
Exactly. As a mayor,
and yet he was kicked out as member of parliament.
So that kind of confusion totally confused the electorates. They are going to see Latif Sebagala as an MP, then they are seeing posters of Lord Mayor. You know. So
please note that we are expecting an official communication coming in from the Electoral Commission, live from the National Tally Center in Chambogo. This is the Election Hub, and we continue to have discussions about the elections as we come to the conclusion or the evening of the elections for the year 2021. All right.
So let me just ask something before probably we these guys come in at the EC. There's something that is quite been on the lips of many Ugandans, simply about quality. You see, there's no way you want to discuss elections, candidates, voting, without talking about quality. We have suffered a couple of hiccups, as Priscilla normally says. That's her word, Madam Hiccup. That Parliament has had a couple of challenges because of the quality of legislators. And I spring this from as far as the CA. Some of our viewers and people out there who've been interested in Ugandan politics, you know that around 1995, you remember the CA being comprised of some, what I want to call superb heads.
Yes.
The Semogeres,
professors
the
by
then. You know, the list is on and on and on. And let's look at the 10th Parliament. Now, the coming in Parliament, 11th Parliament, where do you place the challenge of quality? Where do you place quality?
You know, the quality, to me, the quality of leaders is defined by that voter who goes to a polling station and votes. That's one. Many times we have tried to define leadership, the quality, in terms of who speaks what, who knows the articles in the Constitution, who gives reference, you know, this article, Madam Speaker, this one. You see, when you look at that intellectual perspective and you correlate it to the quality of leadership, there is a No, I'm not hating on lawyers, even journalists.
But it's a general,
the first time I was accredited to cover Parliament, I was green about many things. But until I covered Parliament for a certain period, I got the expertise. I knew the immunity, the role of a journalist, to where the bounds and etc. So this time around, I believe the Segirinya of, you know, you may see him as a comic person, but the moment he enters Parliament and is well informed about the rules and procedures of Parliament, he will be someone who
Katolubama was in Parliament. Let's talk about that quality.
For Katolubama, you know, we always mark these people and what they say. He was very clear, Munonde Kati, but Sanja Chang and did now Munondo Gudako. You know, Ugandans are not.
This particular race he assured them Munonde to collect
So did Kutulia Fenna take you to Parliament?
We had Munyagwa Mugati Robert.
We had Munyagwa. You understand?
And he was at the helm of Tesako.
Exactly. So to me, the quality of leadership shouldn't be somebody who gives you a CV, I studied in Makerere and so forth. We are looking at a person who will come and say, seriously, you are giving this money to this ministry where there is no demand. But the people in Ibududa, let alone that, we have people in Ibududa who are still remaining in the places where floods are happening from. That is a leader who has quality. That is a leader of substance. We don't want to see this leader, much as there is Ibududa, even locusts are scaring. They are coming anytime from Kenya, and you first deal with locusts that are yet to arrive in Uganda, and you live out of Ibududa.
Who's to blame for that? Kawa, if I may ask you, is it the quality again?
Not the quality. You know, in Parliament we have this disease of majority over minority. So the moment you bring your issue, and it's really very important, once the minority say your point is too valid, it is a matter of national importance. But the matter of national importance is better. The locusts are as big as Uganda and Kenya, and once they come, we shall run into trouble. So the quality, mind you, let's forget about, you may have your issues and so quality. And don't talk about quality. When in actual sense, the Constitution itself says that minimum qualification to be a member of Parliament is senior 6, So how do you bring in quality when you have the likes of Medad Segonas debating with Alan Sewanyan? In that Parliament we had MPs who never spoke for even 2 minutes. Others are given minutes, they say nothing. Right, what they know is, Right Honourable Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I believe
Right
it's time to have lunch.
I have had my colleagues say, Right Honourable Speaker, by the time the Speaker says time up, the person has not communicated. So is that quality in other words?
When we talk about quality, I think we must be disseminate it from education. But sometimes, and what I meant by quality...
and these people have education, but they're still not making the reasonable decisions they're supposed to make.
Put it away from education.
Okay.
Education plays a key role. Very important, because that is one of the requirements.
No. All these people are educated. Are they not educated?
No.
The first Parliament has been educated. Are they not all educated? But look at the decisions they've been making.
The minimum requirement is senior 6. That means in the first place, education is very important. Senior focal.
I think, in my opinion, that the members of Parliament must be fine-tuned away from just education. There must be some level of fine-tuning that must be reflected in what society needs at that time. As Kawa was trying to bring the issue of locusts versus Bududa, one will bring you talked about hospitals versus infrastructure. You will talk about borrowing versus not borrowing, borrowing versus corruption. We are borrowing here, yet it is going out. I think there's a level of scrutiny, there's a level of appreciating national matters. And for me, it has nothing to do with education. I can tell you education doesn't define integrity, doesn't define people, how many educated fools are there in the world, if you want me to use that word. But it must have some fine-tuning. And for me, when I talk of quality, I'm talking about that fine-tuning. I have had, and you have covered Parliament, you cover Parliament, Kawa. Many a times, and there are times where you feel like, what the hell? I'm not even talking about opposition. There are members of Parliament, I've told you time and again, who have never even yawned. And you don't have them on the Hansards of Parliament for yawning.
They don't have any record.
Even on yawning, Honorable Mukasa, and they have never yawned. There are members of Parliament who have not attended sessions for 2 years. You cover Parliament, you know this.
Yes.
So the fine-tuning, and you see, Parliament, and for me when I talk about quality, do we have induction in Parliament?
Yes, it's always there. Yes, it's always
induction, you see, this is...
But there's induction as a formality.
But it depends on who is being inducted.
That's the thing. And what is their intention?
Very
but
good.
We have a Parliament that is composed of tuze, katubalage, that attitude. And for me, that's the quality I'm talking about. Where is the space for intellectual debate for the forthgoing of the country?
Let me take in from there. When you talk of that intellectual engagement,
yes,
you see in that Parliament, when a person who has a lot of books on his profile,
again, it has nothing to do with books.
Let alone.
Wait for it.
When that person stands to speak, these people who feel this person is so brilliant, and always calling out issues, it leaves out the other ones not to speak at all. This is one thing. In that parliament, there are specific MPs who always stand to speak in that regard. So you should also look at that aspect of as to why some MPs have never yawned. Is it a law that refuses them to yawn anyway? Don't they have problems in their constituency? The other issue is, you find an MP from Masindi deliberating and bringing a matter of national importance from Koboko, but he or she has problems. Masindi. You know, exactly. He has problems in his own constituency. So what exactly happens in that regard? But to me, I even anticipate that we're going to have a youthful ministerial cabinet this time around.
That could be another issue. Looking at the, we looked at the map so far, and looking at some of these areas, we had Noop covering most of central region, and then the yellow covering most of the rest of the Uganda. But now let's look at it in terms of parliament, the incoming parliament. Those majorly are young people versus the old people. Now some of these representatives that were in parliament that is passed and have come back on Noop presidency or something like that, I mean Noop ticket, they are getting in there, but looking at how they've been conducting themselves in the past parliament and how we expect them to conduct themselves, is it going to be the same manner of conduct, or is it going to be a different kind of conduct? Because
as we head out, Priscilla, let me just say this. I think there's space for all of them in parliament. It's just about how smart they place themselves to cause change for those they represent. There's enough room.
There's causing change, Felix, but how are they choosing to cause that change?
That's what I'm saying, that it's about how they place themselves in the situation room. That's the thing. There's enough space for the youth, and this is what I've been saying, and this is what I started with the show. I'm happy that the youth have come on the table of men. There's enough space. People have been saying they experience at what. So I think it's
the youth are bringing reality.
All right. Time check is 13 minutes past 9 o'clock. We now get to the National Tally Center in Chambago. Electoral Commission giving us another provisional set of results.